Welcome back to Inclusive Design 2022, brought to you in partnership with our Platinum supporters, Intopia and Fable, and Gold supporters, Barrier Break, TPGI, and UX for the Win. You can follow us on Twitter at ID24Conf, and if you have questions for the presenter, tweet them using the ID24 hashtag or post them in the YouTube chat that we have available again this year immediately under the video. And we'll have those set up for our Q&A at the end of the session. I am once again delighted to have Kathleen McMahon as my guest host. And Kathleen, over to you.
Thanks, Adrian. Next, we have Kazuhiko Tsuchiya, and he will be talking about inclusive persona extension. Over to you, Kazuhiko.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And hello, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be here to make presentations here at ID24. My name is Kazuhiko Tsuchiya. If you feel it too long, you can call me just shortly Kaz. And my Twitter ID is @markkazja. I'm a Japan-based expert in web usability, accessibility, and information architecture, and I'm a certified human-centered design professional. My major work experiences are information and user interface design for several large-scale corporate websites, and usability and accessibility evaluation and improvement of websites of various sizes, and web accessibility training for companies and public sectors, and development of guidelines for corporate web governance. And I am translating WCAG and its related documents as an invited expert of WAIC, or WAIC, Web Accessibility Infrastructure Committee in Japan. The screenshots here show the Japanese version of WCAG 2.1, understanding WCAG 2.1, and techniques for WCAG 2.1. I'm also a co-translator of inclusive design principles with Makoto Ueki of Infraxia. Some of you may know Makoto. He's a top runner as a web accessibility advocate in Japan, and he's also joining the W3C's Accessibility Guidelines Working Group. And I translated the book Form Design Patterns to Japanese, which is originally written by Adam Silver and published by Smashing Magazine. And this is my blog, Accessible and Usable, writing about usability, accessibility, and information design of digital content. I'm sorry, this blog is available in Japanese only, so if you are interested in, please read using machine translation. Okay, let's move on to today's topic. Let me start from the introduction. Here is a question. Do you guarantee accessibility in your web project? For those who are attending ID24, you may be okay. However, many web projects around the world seem that accessibility is an afterthought. For example, the WebAIM Medium survey in 2022 says 96.8%, or almost all of home pages of major 1 million websites had detected WCAG 2 failures, such as low contrast text, missing alternative text, empty links, missing form input labels, empty buttons, and so on. On the other hand, interest in UX design has grown over the past few years, and human-centered design or user-centered design methodologies have become popular. This is the HCD or human-centered design flow quoted from ISO 9241210, standard for human-centered design processes for interactive systems. And there are 4 steps. Step 1, understand and specify the context of use. Step 2, specify the user and organizational requirements. Step 3, provide design solutions. And step 4, evaluate designs against requirements. And each step has deliverables like these. For step 1, there are user research, persona, and customer journey map as is. For step 2, there are customer journey map to be, user scenario, and requirement specification. And for step 3, there are content inventory, wireframe, and design system. And for step 4, there are prototyping, usability testing, and heuristic evaluation. Among these human-centered design deliverables, I would like to focus on persona, because persona is a typical UX design artifact, and this is also a critical deliverables at the top of a project to share users' problems and objectives within the project team. But wait, isn't that persona based on the assumption that he or she has no disability? Unspoken common understanding within the project might be that the persona is usually a person with no disability. As a result, it's not uncommon for accessibility considerations to be left out of the product design, even when the design process itself is user-centered. So this is one of my favorite legendary tweets. On January 2015, Mr. Billy Gregory said, "When UX doesn't consider all users, shouldn't it be known as some user experience or sucks?" Yes, it really sucks. So I'd like to see accessibility as essential and fundamental quality for good user experience. For users who have certain objectives, we should design a product that does not exclude them due to their disabilities or other conditions to achieve their objectives. That's why I made inclusive persona extension. Now I would like to introduce what it is. Well, before talking about the inclusive persona extension, let's see some existing examples of personas of people with disability. This is the book, A Web for Everyone by Sarah Horton and Whitney Quisenberry. There are, for example, the following personas, such as Trevor, high school student with autism, Emily, cerebral palsy, living independently, and Jacob, blind, a bit of geek, and so on. You can see details in the UX magazine article of the URL described here. And this is the booklet, Diverse Personas by Barclays. There are, for example, the following personas, such as deaf, completely deaf, using sign language and lip reading, Maya, dyslexia, and Zach, colorblindness or protanopia. You can see details in a PDF file of the URL described here. And here is the website Stories of Web Users by the W3C Web Accessibility Initiative. There are following personas: Lee, online shopper with color blindness; Alex, reporter with repetitive stress injury; Martin, online student who is hard of hearing; Ilya, senior staff member who is blind; Preeti, middle school student with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD and dyslexia; and Yoon, retiree with low vision, hand tremor, and mild short-term memory loss; Louis, supermarket assistant with Down syndrome; and Cassim, teenager who is deaf and blind. You can see details on W3C's WAY website. These personas of people with disability are truly significant artifacts. And while not versatile, they are very, very useful. However, in many UX design projects in general, it may be difficult to create such personas with specific disabilities because personas should be typical target user images for their business, and the types and degrees of disabilities are so diverse that a user with a specific type of disability may not be typical. So, how about changing the idea that adding an extended context or disability or other condition between the user and their objectives? Like this. The context, such as disability, aging, environment views, is attached to user or persona and treated as one pair. Now, this is the inclusive persona extension for embodying this concept. There are 8 contexts, and each context is summarized in one sheet. 8 context sheets of inclusive persona extension are: 1. Visual disabilities, blindness. 2. Visual disabilities, low vision. 3. Color blindness or grayscale print. 4. Auditory disabilities or in a public. 5. Motor disabilities. 6. Cognitive and learning disabilities. 7. Aging. And 8. Mobile. Each sheet consists of context or a type of disability, problems, or barriers to using the web, and solutions. These context, problems, and solutions are based on the idea of pattern language. Now let's see each sheet of the inclusive persona extension. This is the context sheet of visual disabilities, blindness. Barriers to using the web are cannot see, cannot understand the visual information, cannot use the web without the text-to-speech feature or braille output of a screen reader, cannot use fingers or major pointing devices like a mouse to click or tap on items. And solutions are provide alternative text for images and icons, provide alternative formats such as audio descriptions for video content, use real text rather than images of text, mark up heading structures and landmarks appropriately, make all functionality operable through a keyboard. The link text and button label alone should convey the purpose of the link and button. Provide labels to identify form controls by using the label element. Make the data table structure as simple as possible and use the TH element for table header cells. Use way area attributes and make sure a screen reader user is aware of dynamic context changes. Do not start playing any sounds automatically when the page is loaded. And this is the context sheet of visual disabilities, low vision. Barriers to using the web are cannot see well enough. For example, cannot see clearly or blurred vision or double vision. Glare sensitivity, flickering eyesight, peripheral vision loss, central vision loss, and wandering eye or shaky vision. And people with low vision might need screen readers depending on the severity. And solutions are allow users to enlarge content on the screen. Use real text rather than images of text. Provide adequate contrast between foreground text and its background color combinations. Make all keyboard accessible components have a visible focus indicator. Make sure the information is transmitted correctly, even if the color is changed to the opposite color by the user agent's function. Allow users to use a custom style sheet. Lay out content in chunks to better facilitate flow of information. Follow familiar user interface design patterns. Do not change content with accidental triggers such as a mouse over or keyboard focus. And match the screen reader's reading order with the visual layout. This is the context sheet of color blindness or grayscale print. Barriers to using the web are difficulty distinguishing between certain kinds of colors, such as protanopia or protanormally, deuteranopia or deuteranormally, tritanopia, tritanormally, and monochromacy. When printing the web page in grayscale, color-dependent information cannot be identified correctly. When opening a web page with a monochrome e-reader, color-dependent information cannot be identified correctly. And solutions are: do not rely on color alone to communicate information. For example, add an underline to the link especially one in a sentence. Express the visual hierarchy of text using non-color elements such as font size and thickness. In figures such as graphs, etc., shapes other than colors should also be used as clues for visual identification. Make content understandable and usable even when displaying it in grayscale. And this is the context sheet of auditory disabilities or in a public. Barriers to using the web are hard of hearing or total loss of hearing. Can't make sound in a public space, such as transportation, library, etc., including situations where the battery of Bluetooth headphones is dead or forgot to bring headphones, and so on. And solutions are provide transcripts for audio content, provide captions or subtitles for video content with audio. And this is the context sheet of motor disabilities. Barriers to using the web are cannot use fingers or major pointing devices like a mouse to click or tap on icons. Need to rely on the following means, such as adaptive or customizable keyboards, mouth stick, various switch devices or buttons, speech recognition software, eye-controlled input devices, and so on. And difficulty to freely change the device orientation. And solutions are make all functionality operable through a keyboard. Make all keyboard accessible components have a visible focus indicator. Make links, buttons, etc. large enough to be able to click or tap or execute without the need to perform precise pointing operations. Describe the labels of links and buttons clearly to support voice input. Write in text and markup appropriately. Make sure that the page functions properly when the device is used in either portrait or landscape mode. And this is the context sheet of cognitive and learning disabilities. Barriers to using the web are difficult to recognize or memorize information, easily distracted by sights and sounds in their environment, difficult to read text, such as dyslexia. And solutions are follow familiar user interface design patterns, use plain language when presenting text-based information, present headings to make it easier to understand the content overview. Use visual elements such as images, figures, icons, symbols, etc. to make content understandable without reading. Allow users a way to adjust the time or turn off the time limit if the content provides a time limit. Movement or blinking in the content should be limited within 5 seconds and allowed to be stopped by the user. Do not use flashes that flash 3 times or more per second in content expression. Do not start playing video and audio content automatically when the page is loaded. Use legible fonts. Make the font size and line spacing large enough to improve readability, and provide multiple means of contact, for example, text chat as well as phone calls. And this is the context sheet of aging. Barriers to you using the web are difficult to use fingers or major pointing devices like a mouse precisely to click or tap on small items. Hard to read small and light text or presbyopia. Hard of hearing. And difficult to recognize information and hard to remember things. And solutions are make links, buttons, etc. large enough to be able to click or tap or execute without the need to perform precise pointing operations. Provide adequate contrast between foreground text and its background color combinations. Use real text rather than images of text. Make the font size and line spacing large enough to improve readability. Follow familiar user interface design patterns. And present headings to make it easier to understand the content overflow. And this is the context sheet of mobile. Barriers to using the web are the field of view for obtaining information is narrow due to the small screen. Size of text tends to be small and difficult to read. When used outside, the content is difficult to see due to the glare of natural sunlight. Since it is tapped on with a finger, precise pointing is difficult compared to using a mouse. Typing is more troublesome than using a hardware keyboard. Mouse-based interactions, such as mouse overs, are not available. And solutions are clarify content priorities from a user experience perspective and structure information serially based on those priorities. Make the font size and line spacing large enough to improve readability. Allow users to enlarge content on the screen. Provide adequate contrast between foreground text and its background color combinations. Make links, buttons, etc. large enough to be able to tap without the need to perform precise pointing operations. Minimize the frequency of text input or typing. Do not implement mouse over dependent interactions. So that's all for 8 context sheets included in Inclusive Persona extension. Now let's move on to how to use the Inclusive Persona extension. The usage of Inclusive Persona extension is easy. Just add on the context to your persona or put the persona image and the persona name on the context sheet so that your project member can easily imagine, like, if Alex in persona is colorblind, you can replace the context for Alex as any way as you like, and you can also add multiple contexts to Alex simultaneously, like Alex is auditory disabilities and he's in a mobile situation. And place all personas combined with the context sheet where your project team member can easily access whenever they want. For example, on the wall of your project room or in your project's online workspace. Then make the considerations within your team based on the persona and context combinations. The inclusive persona extension can be used as a requirement specification to refer back to any time during user interface design. And it also can be used as a cheat sheet for a walkthrough from the perspective of people with disabilities during user interface evaluation. If you are interested in using the inclusive persona extension, please see the README document available on my GitHub repository. The original sheet of inclusive persona extension is available on Google Slides with full of accessibility. So you can copy it to your Google Drive or download it as needed. The PDF version is also available on my GitHub repository for your convenience. If you find any typos, inadequacies due to lack of my knowledge, or have some suggestions on the content, please post your comment as an issue in the GitHub repository. Of course, the solutions described in the inclusive persona extension are only a brief outline, and in practice, these are not enough. Especially for information designers or IAs, visual designers, and front-end engineers, it is essential to understand WCAG success criteria as the fundamental knowledge. However, as a first step, I hope that everyone in the team, including project manager, product owner, marketer, user support staff, and so on, would use the inclusive persona extension as an opportunity to be conscious of digital accessibility. So let's make the web accessible with all members in the team together. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you very much.
I've come back. Kazuhiko, thank you. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Kathleen, do we have any questions or comments in the queue?
I see a lot. Wow, you have a lot of love, Kazuhiko. In there, there were a lot of people waving at you in
Really?
the chat. Oh, there was a lot of woo, hi from Tokyo. There was raised hands. There was waving. There was clapping. Bonjour from Toronto's clapping and sparkles. Looks like I can't read kanji characters. Some more clappings and pulsing hearts. And there is Michael Spelcy, or you called Spell, hello from Allentown, Pennsylvania. I did see someone on Twitter that was saying hello, I believe from upstate New York. And oh, I saw another UX for the win said hello, and that's another one of our supporters. I want to thank UX for the win for attending our talks. They've been doing some great support for this conference in general. Oh, Lisa Jarvis is here giving you hearts and the party horn for you. I do have a question that I see that I found in Twitter that I do want to ask you. and I'm sure that there will be more questions, but first let me find this one question that I saw. Oh, also one of our co-hosts that's coming up, Makoto Ueki, I believe is how you say his name, who was very happy to see so many audiences from Japan. And he will be co-hosting the
much.
next session. So that's great. There's person Grunette on Twitter asked this question: is attaching videos or other non-text content to these personas possible or worthwhile, like a Zoom recording or someone while using their assistive technology to interact with an existing product, then maybe creating some sort of artifact at the end of the new project?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the meaning of question. I'm sorry, I'm not good at real-time English conversation. Is there on Twitter?
It is on Twitter. It
Uh,
is on Twitter, and it was the hashtag. It was through the ID24 hashtag,
yeah.
and it was by on __ GRUNET. And that was asked about
Oh,
between.
oh yes, I found it. I
Yes,
found it.
yes, there you go. So you can scan that right on the
Uh,
screen. So apologize if I said that too quickly.
Is attaching videos or other.
And let's see if my audio is a little bit better again. Am I better? Okay, so I'm putting my microphone closer to my mouth because apparently my microphone was way far away from too far away from my mouth, and now I'm making it better. So let's see. All right, is that better?
Oh, yeah. Can I reply to this question directly later? I should use machine translation to understand correctly to this question. I'm very sorry.
Absolutely.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So I will reply. I will surely reply to the question.
Okay, so you will reply later to that question. I saw. I'm not. So the person Yamanoku on Twitter would love to see a case study of this in Japan. So that would be fantastic. I'm double checking that my audio is okay. If someone would let me know if my audio is better on Zoom.
I think you sound lovely.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that everyone else is getting better audio from me while I'm asking questions for the records. Let me see. Also, I want to let you know that your slides are posted. You did post your slides. You did tweet that your slides are available.
Yes, previously I
which
posted
is wonderful. I don't see any other questions, but I do see you have a lot of love on this chat. So I am very excited for you to see all this love. If you take a look at the YouTube thread, you're going to see a lot of emojis for how many people are very excited for your presentation. And someone has been tweeting a lot of quotes from your presentation. So you have gotten a lot of people very excited about your extension. So I can't wait to share this with my coworkers. I think you're going to have a lot of people wanting to use this. So this is a great talk. I'm very excited
to hear that.
Yes.
All right. Well, for all of our attendees, if you liked this session, please hit that big shiny YouTube like button And don't forget that you can subscribe to youtube.com/inclusivedesign24 to be kept in the loop for our future events. As a reminder, ID24 is a respectful community. You can find our code of conduct on the Inclusive Design 24 website. Inclusive Design 24 is brought to you with thanks to our supporters, Intopia, Fable, Barrier Break, TPGI, UX for the Win, Infoexia, Intuit, Law Office of Laney Feingold, Adrian Roselli LLC, WebAble. They were the last ones. There's no and. So, and WebAble. I'm reading bullet lists here. Inclusive Design 24 will be back on the hour with our next session. We'll see you then. In the meantime, keep those questions and comments coming. Thank you all. Thank you, Kazuhiko.
Thank you very much for having me in. Thank you.